The marsupial lion, scientifically known as Thylacoleo carnifex, was one of Australia's most formidable prehistoric predators. Roaming the continent during the Pleistocene epoch roughly 2 million to 46,000 years ago, this unique carnivorous marsupial stood out for its powerful build, specialised teeth and retractable claws. Unlike modern big cats, Thylacoleo had blade-like premolars designed for slicing flesh, making it a highly efficient hunter. Weighing between 100 to 130 kilograms and equipped with muscular forelimbs, it could ambush prey from above or engage in powerful frontal attacks. As a top predator, the marsupial lion played a crucial role in its ecosystem, preying on large herbivores such as giant kangaroos and wombat-like Diprotodon. Convergent evolution is a fascinating phenomenon where unrelated species independently evolve similar traits or adaptations as a result of having to adapt to similar environments or ecological niches. The marsupial lion is a prime example of convergent evolution, showcasing how marsupials can develop features remarkably similar to those of placental mammals, such as modern big cats, despite being evolutionarily distinct. Thylacoleo carnifex was not a placental mammal, but a marsupial, a part of a group of mammals that primarily develop in the mother's pouch after birth. Despite this fundamental difference, the marsupial lion exhibited several traits commonly associated with placental carnivorous mammals. The closest relatives of Thylacoleo within the marsupial family are found in the order Diprotodontia, which includes a diverse range of species, from herbivores to omnivores, and include wombats, koalas, and even possums and gliders. The marsupial lion and wombats share a common ancestor that lived millions of years ago. From this common ancestor, different evolutionary paths led to the diverse forms we see within the Diprotodontia today. Within the context of the Diprotodontia order, both marsupial lions and wombats are part of the same larger clade but represent different branches. Their evolutionary paths showcase the adaptive versatility of marsupials in Australia. The marsupial lion remains a subject of great interest for paleontologists and researchers studying Australia's prehistoric fauna. Thylacoleo's skull was robust and adapted for a powerful bite. The key feature of its dentition was the presence of large blade-like third premolars, which were highly efficient at slicing through meat. Unlike modern carnivores that possess sharp canines, Thylacoleo's canines were relatively small, and it relied more on its unique premolars for feeding. Its limbs were muscular and well suited for grasping and climbing. The forelimbs in particular were adapted with large retractable claws on the first digits, resembling those of modern-day big cats, which likely aided in capturing and holding onto prey. The marsupial lion may have been an ambush predator, using its climbing ability to surprise prey from above or hiding in dense vegetation to launch sudden attacks. The marsupial lion was about the size of a modern-day lioness. It had a robust, muscular build with powerful forelimbs, suggesting it was a strong and capable climber. Fossil remains of Thylacoleo have been found across various parts of Australia, providing valuable insights into its anatomy, behaviour and ecological role. Notable sites where fossils of the marsupial lion have been found include the Naracoorte Caves in South Australia and the Riversley fossil beds in Queensland. The limestone caves and tunnels of the Nullarbor Plain have served as natural traps for thousands of years. Animals, including the marsupial lion, often fell into these caves through vertical shafts or openings and were unable to escape. The dry and stable conditions within these caves have helped preserve the remains of these animals exceptionally well. This has provided paleontologists with a rich source of fossil material to study. The closest relatives of Thylacoleo carnifex are other members of the family Thylacoleonidae, which is a group of extinct marsupial mammals. Within this family, Thylacoleo carnifex is the most well-known and largest member, but there are other genera and species that share a close evolutionary relationship with it. The Procilio genus includes smaller and more primitive members of the Thylacoleonidae family. Fossils of Procilio have been found in Miocene deposits, indicating that the lineage of marsupial lions extends back several million years before Thylacoleo carnifex appeared. Another genus within the Thylacoleonidae family is known as Wacholeo, which includes species that were intermediate in size and had similar carnivorous adaptations. Wacholeo species lived during the Miocene epoch and exhibited both primitive and advanced features seen in Thylacoleo. The exact cause of Thylacolio's extinction is not definitively known. However, contributing factors likely include climate change, habitat loss, and competition with humans and other predators. Some researchers believe that ancient Aboriginal rock art might depict this fearsome predator, suggesting a potential overlap between early humans and these formidable carnivores. The marsupial lion remains a subject of great interest for paleontologists, reflecting the rich evolutionary history and unique biodiversity of Australia's ancient past. So, whilst Australia is known for its dangerous animals today, it was far more dangerous in the past. Early Indigenous inhabitants had to deal with this formidable creature, along with many other that we will cover in future videos. The Diprotodon was essentially a gigantic wombat. It is an extinct genus of giant marsupials that lived during the Pleistocene epoch in Australia, and it was literally the size of a modern-day car. The Pleistocene epoch spans from about 2.58 million years ago to approximately 11,700 years ago, but the Diprotodon is believed to have gone extinct around 46,000 years ago, along with several other notable megafauna in Australia, such as the marsupial lion. The Diprotodon was the largest marsupial to have ever lived. It could grow up to 4 meters or 13 feet in length, and it weighed over 2,700 kilograms, which is nearly 6,000 pounds. It had a large, robust body similar to that of a wombat, but much larger. It had pillar-like legs, a large head, and a short tail. Its teeth suggest it was a herbivore, primarily feeding on leaves, shrubs, and possibly grasses. Fossil evidence indicates that the Diprotodon was widespread across Australia. Its remains have been found in various locations, from arid inland regions to more temperate areas. It is believed to have been a relatively slow-moving animal due to its large size, and it might have lived in groups, similar to some modern large herbivores. The Diprotodon is a member of the Diprotodontia order, which includes modern marsupials such as kangaroos, koalas, and wombats. Wombats are the closest living relatives of Diprotodon. They share several anatomical features, including robust bodies, powerful limbs, and similar dental structures. Koalas are also closely related to Diprotodon, although they have a more specialised diet, with them primarily eating eucalyptus leaves. They do share a common ancestry with Diprotodon though, and they exhibit some similarities in skull and dental morphology. The Diprotodon did not burrow like modern-day wombats. While modern-day wombats are known for their extensive burrowing habits, creating complex tunnel systems, the Diprotodon, due to its large size, was not adapted for such behaviour. As one of the largest herbivores in Pleistocene Australia, the Diprotodon played a crucial ecological role in shaping the vegetation and landscape. Its feeding habits would have influenced plant community dynamics and nutrient cycling, similar to how large modern herbivores impact their ecosystems. The Diprotodon had several potential strategies for defense against predators like the marsupial lion and the Megalania, which is a giant prehistoric monitor lizard that was a large carnivorous reptile capable of taking down substantial prey. The sheer size and strength of Diprotodon would have been its primary defense. Its massive bulk would have deterred many potential predators. Large herbivores often rely on their size to intimidate and fend off attackers. It had strong, robust limbs that it could use to kick or trample predators. Its powerful legs and large body mass would have been formidable weapons against any threats. It's likely that predators hunted for young, smaller, and more vulnerable Diprotodon. With that being said, the Diprotodon, like other marsupials, likely had a pouch for carrying and nurturing its young. Marsupials are characterized by giving birth to relatively undeveloped young, which then continue to develop outside the womb, typically in a pouch known as a marsupium on the mother's body. Given Diprotodon's close evolutionary relationship to modern marsupials, it is almost certain that it had a pouch for its young. The pouch would have been crucial for the survival of Diprotodon young. This reproductive strategy is a significant evolutionary adaptation seen in marsupials, allowing them to protect their young from environmental hazards and predators. Like modern marsupials, Diprotodon mothers likely invested significant care in rearing their young. This care would have included not only carrying the young in a pouch, but also feeding and protecting them until they were mature enough to survive independently. It's plausible that the Diprotodon lived in groups, similar to many modern large herbivores like elephants, bison, and some species of deer. Group living provides several advantages, including increased vigilance, protection from predators, and better foraging efficiency. Some fossil sites have yielded multiple individuals of Diprotodon found together, which might suggest that they lived in herds or family groups. However, this evidence is not conclusive, as it could also result from individuals congregating around water sources or other resources. Indigenous Australians coexisted with megafauna for at least 17,000 years based on archaeological and paleontological evidence. The extinction of the Diprotodon is thought to have resulted from a combination of climatic changes, habitat loss, and human activities. The arrival of humans in Australia likely exerted additional pressures through hunting and environmental modifications. Some Aboriginal stories and rock art may depict these giant animals, reflecting their importance in the lives of early human inhabitants. Like the rest of the world, Australia also experienced the effects of the global ice ages during the Pleistocene epoch, although the continent was not covered by large ice sheets like those in North America and Europe. Instead, the climatic conditions in Australia were significantly influenced by these glacial periods in several ways. It experienced cooler temperatures, especially during the peak glacial periods, but the most severe effects were the increased aridity. The continent became much drier, with expanded deserts and reduced water availability. This aridification led to the formation and expansion of large dune fields and desert landscapes. The cooler and drier climate led to changes in vegetation. Forests retreated in many areas, giving way to grasslands, savannas, and deserts. These changes in plant communities affected the type of animals that could thrive in different regions. The extinction of the Diprotodon is part of a broader pattern of megafaunal extinctions that occurred around the world during the late Pleistocene, affecting many large species across different continents. It's unfortunate that this massive wombat the size of a car perished, but its memory lives on in the fossil record and in the skeletons of this formidable beast that we have found all across Australia. The Megalania was a truly terrifying lizard that roamed Australia over 40,000 years ago. It was the largest terrestrial lizard known to have existed. Megalania is believed to have shared a similar ecological niche with the modern Komodo dragon. The youngest fossil remains of these giant monitor lizards in Australia date to around 50,000 years ago. Early Indigenous settlers of Australia may have encountered Megalania, potentially contributing to its extinction. Initially, Megalania was thought to be the sole member of its own genus, but it is now classified under the genus Varanus, closely related to other Australian monitor lizards. The absence of complete or nearly complete fossil skeletons has made it challenging to determine the exact dimensions of Megalania, but estimates have proposed a length of 3.5 to 7 metres, which is 11.5 to 23 feet, and a weight of between 97 to 1,940 kilograms, which is 214 to 4,277 pounds. Sir Richard Owen described the first known remains of Megalania in 1859, based on 3 vertebrae among a collection of primarily marsupial bones purchased by the British Museum. These remains were collected from the bed of a tributary of the Condamine River, west of Moreton Bay in eastern Australia. Owen coined the name Megalania prisca, meaning ancient great roamer, referencing the terrestrial nature of the large lizard. As a carnivorous apex predator, Megalania's diet would have included large mammals, birds, and other reptiles. Its powerful limbs, sharp claws, and strong jaws made it well equipped to take down large prey. Based on its size, it likely preyed on medium to large-sized animals, including giant marsupials such as Diprotodon, which was a large wombat the size of a car. It had heavily built limbs and body, a large skull with a small crest between its eyes, and jaws filled with serrated blade-like teeth. Some scientists are skeptical of the idea that Megalania was the primary predator of the Australian Pleistocene megafauna. They point out that the marsupial lion has been linked to the butchery of large Pleistocene mammals, whereas Megalania has not. Additionally, Megalania fossils are extremely rare compared to the widespread distribution of the marsupial lion across Australian Pleistocene deposits. Quincana, a genus of terrestrial crocodiles that grew up to 6 metres and existed until about 40,000 years ago, is also considered another apex predator of the Australian megafauna. Komodo dragons, Megalania's closest relatives, are believed to have evolved in Australia before spreading to their current range in Indonesia, as indicated by fossil evidence from Queensland. Some have suggested reintroducing Komodo dragons to Australia as an ecological proxy for Megalania to recreate pre-human arrival ecosystems. A 2009 study using Rowe's earlier size estimates and an analysis of 18 closely related lizard species estimated a sprinting speed of 2.6 to 3 meters per second, which is 9.4 to 10.8 kilometers per hour for Megalania, comparable to the speed of the extant freshwater crocodile. Megalania's scales would likely be similar to those of its living relatives, possessing a honeycomb microstructure that is both durable and resilient to water evaporation. Along with other varanid lizards such as the Komodo dragon and the Nile monitor, Megalania is part of the proposed clade Toxicothera. This clade includes all known reptile groups with toxin-secreting oral glands, as well as their close venomous and non-venomous relatives such as Iguania, Anguiamorpha, and snakes. Closely related varanids possess potent venoming glands inside their jaws. This venom has been identified as a hemotoxin, which acts as an anticoagulant, causing significant bleeding in prey. The resulting blood loss rapidly decreases the prey's blood pressure, leading to systematic shock. As a member of Anguiamorpha, Megalania may have been venomous, making it potentially the largest venomous vertebrate known. The youngest remains of Megalania date to the late Pleistocene, with the most recent possible remains being a large osteoderm from approximately 50,000 years ago found in the Mount Etna Caves National Park in central eastern Queensland. A study that examined the morphology of 9 closely related living varanid lizards and then allometrically scaled and compared them to Megalania concluded that the limb musculature, posture, muscle mass, and possible muscle composition of Megalania would likely have been inefficient for outrunning the early human settlers who colonised Australia during that time. Given that many other species of Australian megafauna went extinct around the same period, likely due to human predation or competition, it is assumed that Megalania faced similar pressures. Fossils of Megalania have been found primarily in Queensland, New South Wales, and South Australia. These fossils include bones and footprints, which have helped paleontologists reconstruct its size and appearance. Confrontations between Megalania and early Aboriginal Australians may have inspired tales of fearsome creatures such as the hui. The hui is a creature from Aboriginal Australian mythology, described as a large fearsome beast. It's typically depicted as a giant serpent-like creature with multiple heads or as a large lizard-like monster. It was said to be immensely strong and capable of causing great destruction. In Aboriginal stories, the hui was a dangerous predator that would often lie in wait for unsuspecting people or animals to pass by, capturing and devouring them. It was feared for its ability to hide and strike unexpectedly. The hui was a part of the oral traditions of several Aboriginal tribes, serving as a cautionary tale to warn against the dangers of certain areas or behaviours. Different Aboriginal groups had their own versions of the hui, with variations in its description and the specific details of its behaviour. Despite these differences, the creature was universally regarded as a formidable and dangerous entity. Some researchers suggest that the myth of the hui might have been inspired by ancient encounters between early Aboriginal Australians and large prehistoric reptiles like Megalania. The fearsome reputation of the hui could reflect the real danger posed by such large predators. I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of thankful that the Megalania doesn't roam Australia anymore. I can't imagine coming up against something as large and formidable as this lizard. Whilst Australia does have many dangerous animals, such as venomous snakes, we are lucky in that they are shy and prefer to flee rather than to stalk and attack us humans. The Megalania, on the other hand, would have been large enough to devour a small child almost whole, and the venom that it likely contained would have been one heck of a situation to deal with. With that being said, it is sad to some degree that the ancient megafauna of Australia went extinct. It's amazing just how large the beasts were when Indigenous Australians made Australia home. It must have been a very hard and formidable time for them. The Megalania is just one of many of the extinct megafauna that we are going to cover. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video to help YouTube promote it to other viewers. Thanks for watching.